Hello, I'm Marin Polakov. Today I'm going to show how to import hierarchical structure from a spreadsheet into TopBraid EDG. Hierarchical importers are supported for nearly every type of asset collection in TopBraid EDG, but they've really been designed and optimized for working with taxonomies, and this is what I'm going to use to demonstrate the import today. I'm going to import hierarchy or taxonomy from the Bureau of Labor Statistics that describes standard occupational classifications. We could take a look at how it looks like in PDF. And the spreadsheet that they supply looks exactly like this. So with that, let me first create a new taxonomy. I'm going to go into taxonomies. Click on create new. I'm going to call it standard occupational classification. And I'm going to set the default namespace. This is the namespace is used to build unique identifiers or URIs for every concept in the taxonomy. So I'm going to keep pretty much what's suggested. I'm going to change it a little bit to have this SAC at the end as identifier. I'm going to use the description from the website, and I'm going to create a new taxonomy. At this point, taxonomy is empty. It has no content. It's ready for me to start entering content or start bringing it through imports. I'm going to use this import spreadsheet using pattern. Let me choose a file. And here's the structure, structure. So there's just one worksheet in that spreadsheet. Therefore, I don't need to change this index. I just keep it as one. I could have customized my taxonomy by creating custom classes, such as, for example, occupational characteristics class with some custom properties. I did not do that. I'm focusing today on showing the import of the spreadsheet. So I'm just going to bring this in as plain concepts. So I don't need to change that mapping either. And now I'm going to click on next. And I will see available patterns. There's one straight tabular pattern that does not presume any hierarchy. And then there are 4 patterns with different hierarchical structure. So you see how my spreadsheet looks like, and it matches most closely this pattern number 4, column base 3. And this is what I will be using today. By the way, let me show you how original spreadsheet looked like, because I changed it just a little bit. So the spreadsheet that I've downloaded had some rows before the column headings. And it's important for us that the first row of the spreadsheet to be imported contains the column headings. Therefore, I've deleted the preceding rows. It's also important for us that there is a heading for each column, because if there is no heading, then TopBraid EDG will look at the next available value in that column and use that as a heading. And therefore, we may lose that first value. So I'm going to give it a heading called title. And that's the only change that I have made to the spreadsheet. So let me come back. I am picking this pattern. Now I have a screen where I can map columns in a spreadsheet to properties in my taxonomy. The most important thing to map is a hierarchy. As you see, hierarchy here is described in the first 4 columns. And I'm going to say that the first 3 columns is major group, and then the last 3 columns is detailed occupation. That concludes the 3 representation in the spreadsheet. There's another column that contains titles. I'm going to map it to the alternative labels. As you could see, the values of titles repeat, so two different concepts can have the same title. Therefore, it cannot be used as a preferred label. It has to be used as an alternative, because in SCAS, preferred label needs to be unique in a given language. So I've specified my hierarchy. I'm going to use hasBroader as a hierarchical property. So hasBroader goes from child to the parent, and my tree is from the parent to the child. So I'm going to say generate in inverse direction. And the only thing that I have left to do is to map the titles column to, as I mentioned, alternative label. I don't need to do any mappings for this first 4 columns, because I've already mapped them as part of the hierarchy. They will be used as values of preferred labels. And the start of the URI, I'm not going to change that. That's taking my default namespace. And that concludes my mapping. I could see on preview how the converted data will look like. If you know RDF a little bit and can read it, then this becomes a useful feature. So let us take a look. So you see here that we're taking these codes as preferred labels, and we are building URIs based on them, and it looks right. So the code 11.20.10 hasBroader 11.20.00. The alternative label looks correct. So everything looks good. I'm going to come back and complete my import. If I want to repeat this import again, the same structure of the spreadsheet, without preparing mappings again, I could save it as a template and say SAR 2018 template. Then next time I could pick import spreadsheet using a template, use this template, and I would not have to do any mapping. Let me click on finish. It's going to take maybe up to, actually it was faster than that. And now we could take a look at our taxonomy. As you could see, the template was saved for future reuse. So I could click on any of them, and you see alternative label was imported, hierarchy was imported. So all the information that I had in the spreadsheet was imported. Also, a concept scheme was created to serve as a top of the tree. Obviously, that's not the name of the concept scheme that I would want to use, so I could rename it into something more intuitive, like Standard Occupational Classification or SOC concept scheme. So that's pretty much the spreadsheet import. Now, let us look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics again. And we see that in addition to the structure spreadsheet, there's also a spreadsheet with additional information called SAR Definitions. Right. So that has some more detailed description for certain labor categories. Actually, let's take a look at it in a spreadsheet format, because that's what we're going to use. Yeah. The downloaded spreadsheet looks like this. It contains some of the same information that we've seen before, SAC code for each of the concept. The title, we've already imported the title, so we don't need this information. And then definitions. Definitions are provided at the detail level. There's also some information here as to what group each concept represents: major, minor, broad, and detailed, because this classification system contains those 4 different groups. As I've said before, I'm not going to customize SCAS to have special fields for any of this information. What I'm going to show now is how I could add data to my taxonomy. Again, importing an additional spreadsheet. In this case, this spreadsheet with definition. I'm going to map the subgroup for the purpose of this tutorial to a scope note field, because that's something that exists in SCAS. And of course, the definition field already exists in SCAS. So let me go back and run the import again, this time using the definition spreadsheet. Again, I'm going to go through import spreadsheet using pattern. I'm going to choose the definitions file, the same single worksheet, the same mapping to a concept. Click on next, and you see how it looks like. We just saw the spreadsheet, and that's what's presented here as well. Now I'm gonna pick no hierarchy pattern, because we are no longer concerned with a hierarchy, and I want to map the definition column. It's already, TopBraid EDG will try to guess the mappings, so it's already guessed that it should map to the definitions, and I'm gonna accept that guess. I am not going to map code or title, because this information is already something that I have. I'm just gonna map subgroup column. And as I said, I'm gonna map it to the scope node. In order for this data to merge in properly with the hierarchy information that I already have imported, I need to make sure that we're using the same data to form identifiers. And if you remember, I used those codes for identifiers. So here I'm going to say use SAR code column for identifier, and then I will use the same start of the URI. I want to override data. The spreadsheet has been imported. Now I could click on the taxonomy and see my results. So as you could see, the scope node was brought in, and if I go down the hierarchy to the lowest level, then you'll see that the definition was brought in as well. So the merge has happened nicely. The only thing to add is that maybe I would not be happy with preferred labels being just codes. Perhaps I want to have them to be more meaningful, yet I need to have them be unique. So one example of how this could be accomplished is I could concatenate the code field with the label to create a unique preferred label that is more meaningful to the users. I could do this in a couple of ways. I could do the import as I just did right now, and then run some transformation rules to adjust the labels as I described, and perhaps move this code into SCAS notation field, which is designed to hold identifiers like this. And of course, I could also use an alternative approach and change the spreadsheet so that the nodes in the hierarchy are already concatenated. Since we are here focusing on showing how to import data, I'm going to leave the transformation approach to the next tutorial and just run the data import of this concatenated structure, which I've already created. So to do that, let me clear my taxonomy. I'm going to the Manage tab where I could run clear. And it's going to say, do I want to remove the content? Yes, I want to remove the content. Now content has been removed and I have an empty taxonomy again. So let me go to my Excel spreadsheet and open recent, this alternative structure that I have created by using concatenation. So you see that I have that same hierarchy, but now the hierarchical entries combine the code and the title. At the same time, I've just copied and pasted the columns that just had codes, and I've given them a column title of major group 2, minor group 2, etc. So I'm going to use this spreadsheet now. Go back and click on import. Repeat import spreadsheet using pattern. And now choose the second file, the structure 2. Next. The same column-based tree. You see the spreadsheet looks different now. And I have more data to map. So again, I'm going to use the first 4 columns for the hierarchy, major group through detailed occupation, and generate an inverse direction. I'm going to map the title as an alternative label. And now I'm going to map this 4 columns that contain just the codes. I'm going to map all of them to the notation field. Let me repeat that. That's pretty much it. I'm going to click on Finish and let the import run. And now it's completed. Let's take a look at our taxonomy. So you could see that labels now look more readable, and code fields have been imported into notation property. Other than that, it looks exactly the same. So this demonstrated how you could map multiple columns from the spreadsheet to the same field into your taxonomy. This concludes our demonstration of the importing hierarchy into TopBraid EDG. As usual, if you have any questions, write to us at info@topquadrant.com, and thank you for watching.